Hey guys, Camila here. So before we get into the show, I just want to let you know that there's going to be an interview in the middle of the show at some point. When I recorded the episode, I forgot to give a proper introduction for the segment and to our guest, Christopher Cullen of WhedonCon. And so I didn't want to just kind of slide in an interview without giving you all a heads up and without giving Chris a proper introduction. Chris was a delight. He was super funny. This was our first time speaking. He was really cool about agreeing to come on the show. And so he talks all about WhedonCon and what to expect for this year, and how you can get your tickets and your memberships and all of the excitement that's going to be happening. So let's get into the show.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
You can read dreams? It's neat. Giles, Kathy, Giles.
He's our grown-up friend. Not in a creepy way.
Nice to meet you, Kathy.
Ditto. Maybe you can read the dream I had last night. There was like this monster, and he sat on me and he did all this stuff to me.
Stuff like scorpions and Bloody Mary minus the Mary?
That's it. How'd you know?
Well, I'm a good guesser.
Me too. And I'm guessing that you need to be on your way to class, right, Kat? Sounds like somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. And guess what? You were next to it.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
Hello, friends. It is that time again. It's time to go back to Sunnydale with Revisiting Sunnydale. Yay! I'm your host, Camila, and usually I am joined by Marcella, but Marcella is all sick and stuff today. She has a cold. But never fear, my hubby, my partner in crime, my coexisting Buffy fanatic love monkey, Daniel is here. You guys may know him. He's been on a couple of episodes before. Daniel, say hello.
You might know me as IMD.
IMD. So Dan is here, filling in for Marcella.
Wow, thanks for such an intro. My heart is glowing.
Your heart is glowing. Okay, hopefully not for reals, because then you'd be Iron Man? Just a glowing chest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll take that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Iron Man. He's also Iron Man. But it's funny because you're wearing the Spider-Man shirt right now.
But it clearly says, I'm not saying I'm Spider-Man. I'm just saying you'd never see me and Spider-Man in the same room.
And that's true. That's a true statement.
It is true.
So
I'm all about the truth.
I don't really know. Like, you could be Spider-Man.
I used to think I was.
That would explain all the random
When
spiders.
I was 6.
So this is episode 56 of Revisiting Sunnydale. As always, there are going to be spoilers. And as always, I'm going to ask y'all to please like our Facebook page, Revisiting Sunnydale, and to also follow us on Twitter at Back to Sunnydale. And also, please, 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 could you be so kind as to go on to iTunes and rate and review us, so we can look like we are a respectable podcast.
And international.
And the podcast is also on Libsyn. So, because Marcella's not here today, I'm not going to do any unboxing because she also likes to see the stuff that I have. And plus, I only have one thing to unbox, and because Nerd Block is... Wait, hold on. Questions at the end. And Nerd Block is late with my April box. This might cause me to break up with them.
I doubt it.
So what question did you have there, Danny?
Because I'm looking around your office here. I'm like,
No, this is the reason why I need to hit pause on Nerd Block.
Maybe. Or learn to evolve the collection and sell some stuff on Etsy.
You mean eBay? I can't sell this on Etsy.
Okay. Well, then you know what I'm talking about. But I just wanted to, I have a question for you. Who graces, so there's a shelf in the studio of Rugged Angel Studios, Rugged Angel Productions.
Sure.
Studios. And I see there's that redheaded dude is...
Abraham?
Yeah.
From Walking Dead.
He's represented well.
He is.
Yeah. Who made it to the shelf?
Well, first of all, this was just... These people, everyone, all the Funkos on this shelf, this was all that I owned at one point.
These are Funko
So it was
Pops.
like, yeah, Funko Pops. So it was just like everybody that I got on the shelf. And then at some point I got to where they don't fit anymore. They all don't fit.
I thought it was curated.
So, yeah, but then I kind of did curate as to where everybody that's more than one in the same fandom, in the same universe, they're up here.
Okay.
Except for Marie Laveau from American Horror Story.
She's a standalone.
Yeah, that was the first one that I got.
Gotcha.
And I don't own any other American Horror Story.
She's right next to
Rachel, which I need to fix that.
Rachel Green.
Yeah, actually, I would like to put her in the middle.
Do you need to fix
She
that?
needs to be in the center, I think.
Marie,
yeah.
Just to clarify. Okay.
Yeah. So all of these guys are in groups except for Marie. So everybody else that's like elsewhere, like I've got John Bender from Breakfast Club. I took him out of the box, actually. He's up on top of the shelf standing next to Dexter. That's the first and only Funko that I took out of the box.
Outside the... Well, of course, because you can't confine him.
He cannot be contained.
Hey, hey, hey.
But I think I forgot to show you that I got Cousin Eddie last month from National Lampoon's Vacation. Christmas Vacation. I was trying to decide if he should just be strictly Christmas. Like, should I put him away with the Christmas decorations and only bring him out at that point in time?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, that makes sense to me too, because it's Christmas Vacation.
Right.
I mean, and he's so great.
Right.
Randy Quaid at his finest.
Right.
And I love that John Bender's outside the box. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, so I'm slowly trying to, like, this weekend will be... This is part of me, my spring cleaning.
Oh, really?
This area.
Oh, wow. I was just curious.
Yeah, so I'll be doing some
So can you quickly just give us a rundown of who made that?
So what I have on the shelf, on the one shelf here, the prominent shelf, I have the Peanuts, including Lucy, Linus, Charlie Brown, and Sally. And then I have the Walking Dead group with Prison Glenn, Daryl Dixon, Abraham, Michonne, and Morgan, and Negan. And then I have Boondock Saints boys, Connor and Murphy McManus. And I have a Karate Kid group with Daniel and Johnny. And I have 3...
Oh, man, Daniel LaRusso looks great.
Doesn't he?
Yeah. Man, good work, Funko Pop. That is some swell craftsmanship.
And then I've got 3 of the 6 friends from the TV show Friends, Joey, Chandler, and Rachel. And then I have Marie Laveau, a.k.a. Angela Bassett or Bassett. I think I want to make her last name fancier than it actually is, from American Horror Story.
I think it's allowed. She's pretty fancy.
She is. She's pretty awesome.
Yeah, she's Grace.
I think, that's like the... Yeah, I would very much like to meet Angela Bassett if anybody.
Yeah,
wants
right.
it.
Let's put that out there. Come on, bring it. All right. Well, cool. Well, that's right on. Very cool.
So that's that.
In lieu of unboxing,
yes,
Nerdbox will unbox this nerd and her Funko Pop collection.
Nerd's Funko shelf.
There you have it.
All right. So what we're going to do, we're talking today about terrible roommates.
Right. Right.
So before we get into it, do you have a terrible roommate story?
I think I am people's terrible roommate story. Sorry, Jason's. There's a couple Jasons in there. Jason Berman in particular. Man, that was probably the worst. I felt bad for him now.
Oh.
But nonetheless, we're still friends.
Well, that's good. You managed to walk through it.
Yeah, I change. I respond to feedback.
Come through on the other side. I mean, I never had like a terrible roommate story, but I do have a story that was like a terrible like one-off. So, and it wasn't, I still don't know who was responsible to this day, but I lived with 2 other girls, and I'm not going to call them out by name. And I had already decided that I was moving out to a new apartment, and I think I had like a couple weeks or something like that beforehand, and it was at Christmas break at school. So I leave to go home to Toledo for Christmas break for like a week. And my plan was to move out and everything like within like the next 2 weeks, slowly, sort of. But so I come back from Christmas break. Everybody else has also gone home for Christmas. I'm the first one back, and I come back to a flooded apartment. I was the first one to leave, and I'm the first one back. So I did not do this. So I come back to a flooded apartment. On the 3rd floor.
Oh my God. This is a disaster for many people.
Yes, or on the 2nd floor. Luckily, my room was on the 3rd floor. It was like in the attic. So none of my stuff was was messed up.
Oh, right on.
But so I still to this day have no idea how long everything, it was funky as hell in there. And I still don't know what happened. And I just was like, you know what? And I just I packed up my car as best I could. And I went on. I was like, can I come move in now? And they're like, yes. And so I went on to the new apartment and I just left it as it was.
Yeah, right. Karma came back to you. Ended up working for apartment companies and had to kind of deal with that. But anyway.
And what's funny is like,
I got my karma too. We all got it.
So after like they all moved out and everything, a mutual friend moved into that apartment. And years later, I went back to that apartment for a party and it still smelled musty like flood water.
Right. You got to put a dehumidifier in there and a fan on it. You seen how I do when there's a spill. Anyway,
so
leak, I should say.
Yep. So that's like the worst. Luckily, I pretty much lucked out with.
Well, speaking of roommates, I mean, is it appropriate to kind of bring up in the Buffyverse universe? I have my story with how I got introduced to Buffy was a work coworker.
Right.
For you.
Oh, we've talked about it on the show. And
it was your roommate.
Yes.
Okay,
Marcella and I have talked about this on the show.
Not here.
I know. This is almost perfect.
Right.
Well, it's almost pretty good that she's not here because
I can ask questions about you, too. Did she put her name on food? Did you?
No, but I did, like, for like a week, maybe not even a week, maybe a couple days, I did do the whole play a song on repeat.
Did you?
So Marcella does have that story.
Oh, great. Awesome.
About
Yay.
me.
So rare to get a story like that about you.
So yeah, I was, and to my defense, it's like my first time out of my mother's house. Like,
Sure.
I was. So,
what song was it?
Oh, it's so embarrassing.
Come on.
So embarrassing.
Spill.
It was Livin' La Vida Loca by Ricky Martin.
Really?
For whatever reason, I was feeling that song.
Right. I'm crazy, going crazy. Well, adulthood could feel like that.
Right.
It's exciting.
So embarrassing.
That's kind of awesome.
But
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome. So, if you haven't guessed, today we're talking about living conditions. This is season 4, episode 2. Okay.
So they just started the college.
Yeah, we're just starting
and
college.
this is season or episode 2.
Right. And this original air date was October 12th, 1999. And this was written by Marty Noxon and directed by David Grossman. In summary, Buffy finds herself at odds with her new roommate and is troubled by a series of disturbing dreams involving a soul-sucking demon.
It's kind of like the suite of College 101 by Joss Whedon.
So did you have did you live on campus at any point in time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I lived in, it was kind of great. I lived in 3 different dorms because, like I said, Jason Bourbon and I were friends, and I did try to keep the friendship,
campus,
so
yeah.
I had to move out. I was the one that had to leave, right? And I ended up in a dorm full of singles as opposed to doubles.
Gotcha.
And it was like all the people who had just barely got in, were last minute signups. And so I had a very interesting floor. Not to say that my other floor wasn't interesting. That's where I met Michael Shoulders as well. A great roommate. I've been blessed with great roommates. But and then I came back as in residence life as a diversity advocate. Right. Kind of like a residence assistant. So I was there for a couple of years.
All right. So our special guest, I think Marcella and I talked about this last episode, but I never had to live in dorms or on college campus. So our special guest stars for this episode are Dagny Kerr as Kathy Newman and Adam Kaufman as Parker Abrams. All right. So this is kind of a throwaway episode. I'm just going to put it out there.
In terms of character development and things like that?
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. I mean, there's a couple of things that I think are important to the overall story arc.
Okay.
And there's 2 of them. One is, and they're both about Giles.
Okay.
This is, even though this isn't a Giles-centric episode, this is kind of like one of the last, this is that transition period where the relationship between Giles and Buffy is changing, obviously, where they're both trying to become more independent.
Right.
And he also talks about you have to learn to tolerate people's idiosyncrasies, which I'm not even sure I know how to spell off the top of my head, but I feel that, and I think I know what that word means.
Yes.
But I'm not 100% sure. I should
It's
probably
more
look
like
up.
quirks.
Oddities. Perhaps.
Little things that you're not used to that you may find annoying, but that's just their usual beat.
I think I'm one of those people who has a lot of idiosyncrasies, but nobody's bothered to have a proper intervention. No. Yeah, no, I think it's true.
I feel like
There's one of them. My laugh, for example.
I don't think that's an idiosyncrasy, but I just feel like I don't think all idiosyncrasies are things that need to be corrected.
Exactly. Like exactly. Some of them are actually endearing, and they're what make us unique,
right?
If you will. And I think that's what Giles probably was trying to get across. He's trying to teach a lesson,
right?
Right. Ultimately, within this episode, and we'll get to that, the lesson failed. But there was a lot of different moments in there, and we'll get to them, though, about what I will call the parent-child conflict, but in Giles's and Buffy's case, it's like the caretaker-child conflict. And so that's it. Yeah. That's what I think that episode was really about, which was important for the character development of both the characters and for the audience to start to get kind of a normalized, it was more about us than it was about the characters. I'll give you that.
Okay.
Because it was like, this is the College 101 series. That
right.
It just kind of really template, you just have to establish the world that Buffy's about to embark into, which we know is super complicated and involved and all that other stuff, but they had to orient us that we're not in high school anymore and we're going in college and dealing with the normal college growing pains.
Right.
Like your roommate.
Yeah.
And which is we can all relate to that, which is why the episode works so well.
Yes.
So,
I mean, when I say it's a throwaway, it's not really that it's a bad episode, but
I know
it's
you got my feelings.
But it's just the fact that, it's one of those that I when I rewatch, I very rarely.
Right, because nobody wants to relive the bad roommates. But it's a story that must have been told.
That's fair,
and so Joss Whedon and crew tackled it.
So we come in on this episode with Buffy and Kathy in a discussion, basically, and Kathy is questioning that Buffy is going out so late, and I just didn't know you'd be going out at all hours of the night. she's being very just like, I just you're doing these things, I don't really like them, but no, it's fine.
Right, passive aggressive. Yes. I mean, just establishing right off the top.
The really effed up thing is that Kathy is playing Cher, we're hearing Cher.
Right. Let me just touch on that for a second, because one, I think you paused it at this moment and left the room, so I had time to write. Nonetheless, it's just the beginning is enter Buffy, right?
Uh-huh.
And so it's just a shot of her,
right?
And you hear. I believe in life after love by Cher, right? It's just on loop.
Yes.
Right? And so this is introducing the topic of roommate, the bad roommate, right? In on loop. Believe in love, which is stuck in my head now.
Yeah.
Right? She's ironing her jeans. Right? She's questioning her hours. She's explaining that she's created systems, and one of them is for the phone bill. And then we're establishing rules about the sharing, not of food, just milk. Just milk. We're just going to tackle milk.
The line.
Right? Exactly. And
the 2 tablespoons of milk she used for her coffee was just too much for Kathy.
Right? And then I'm thinking, this is the same woman. Somehow I believe she has a Celine Dion poster, but I'm not sure that was established in this episode.
It was established last episode.
In the last episode.
So it was the first thing she puts up when she gets there.
So this is the bad roommate. And I'm like, yes, this is such a horrible roommate. And I'm like, how would Faith have entered this room and said, because when she starts questioning Buffy's all apologetic and
Faith would have murdered her.
Oh, right. So I want to play that out, right? Exactly. I want to see that. So fan fiction writers, if you're out there, I want you to come back to season 4, episode 2, and rewrite it as though Faith had just gotten to college and this was her roommate, and how that shit would have gone down.
Oh,
I cursed on this show.
It's fine. It's fine. Yes, it would have. Yeah, that would have not gone well. So she's doing all this stuff, and then what's really troubling is that they're having this conversation, and Kathy stops in the middle of the conversation. The song has stopped playing. She stops in the middle and mid-sentence and goes and starts the song back again.
Right.
That's
Right. And, right. And I was thinking, this isn't even like an iPod loop. Like, she had to manually do this. This is the days of CDs, right? It's 1999. The fact that you could get your CD to go to the song you wanted without having to fast forward your tape was a revolution.
Yes, exactly. So she goes back to it. So just to prove how nerve grating she is.
Right.
So
Buffy's like, I gotta go get a decaf latte. I'm out. Peace.
So,
right?
Buffy's trying, like, she's hanging on by a thread at this
Right.
point.
Right.
And she finally escapes to go to patrol. And I think she meets up with Willow and they're
Right, exactly.
she's
That's always
bitching.
important. Yeah, they have their punning and quipping moments, which are awesome.
There's
and
a lot
just
of that.
Establishing the friendship again and putting the fans back into the Buffyverse.
Kind of what we know.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
This is what
they're walking
feels
around
good.
at night, right? What I do want to say again, because you had paused it here and I had time to write, that I'm looking at the way they're dressed, right? I'm
my
like,
God.
is Buffy wearing a trench coat and a hoodie? And like Willow's looking extra cosmopolitan.
Buffy is wearing like a sweatshirt with a hood kind of thing. It's like not really a sweatshirt, a more fashion sweatshirt.
Okay,
quote unquote.
sure.
And yes,
But
there's a trench coat.
A trench coat, right?
And those capri pants that she was wearing, like capri jeans with like some crazy patterned cuff business happening.
Right. And then they do a good job too. I think I just want to make note of this because it's a quandary of how do you introduce a character's name, right? And so when Buffy walks in the room and sees her roommate and all that stuff, when Willow's talking to Buffy later, she's like, "Oh, problems with Kathy again," just to kind of reinforce the name. Like I thought that was a good way to reinforce that this was a person.
Right. And Kathy also made it very clear later on. Like, what her name was.
Exactly. By writing her name on all the food and all the eggs, right.
All the eggs.
So just a couple of things to mention about the writing and establishing a character's name.
Right.
But anyway, so, Willow goes off to see Oz, right? Which is also reaffirming for us because they moved from high school to college. And so you wonder if the relationship stayed or not.
She's got her college boyfriend living on campus.
Exactly. And then you hear the signature grr, arg, the demon growls, and then you see these like fluorescent green, blue lit eyes. Right. And then they cut to the opening credits. Rock and roll. It's like grr, arg. It's just so well done.
It's so good. So we come back and Buffy's still just going on patrol, and Kathy crashes. She just comes out of nowhere. She's like, "Oh, I realized, decaf latte sounded really good right now." And then Buffy's like trying to be cool still, and they're attacked by the demon with the glowing eyes. And Buffy saves her. Demon gets away. Kathy is a little bit out of shape that her sweatshirt was ruined.
Right.
A little muddy, a little dirty.
Well, it was a sweater. Let's be fair.
Whatever, Kathy. Whatever. And so, they go back home, and the demon. There's two demons, and they're like, "Oh, that's the one we're looking for." And obviously, we think that they're talking about the Slayer.
Right.
So, they decide to follow them, is what their thing is. So we just keep kind of cutting back and forth a little bit with these demons, just getting little bits and pieces of information. And so, next day, Buffy's hanging out. Like, she's trying to avoid Kathy by hanging around Giles.
Right. Which is also great. So it's like enter Giles, right? She's at his apartment. So that was kind of new, too, because he had a house or something like that before.
Well, no, he's always had that apartment.
Oh, okay.
But what you did not see, the first episode of this season, was when Buffy rolls in to Giles' apartment unannounced.
Oh, and his girl's there from London. Yeah.
It's like real.
And she was totally nonplussed by it. She was in his shirt.
Right.
Sexy as hell. In the kitchen.
Like she's standing there, no pants on.
Right.
Giles walks in, he's wearing a robe. I'm sure Buffy smelled sex in the
Right, because we did. Right. We were watching on TV. Right, exactly. That was well established.
And like nobody was like Giles was way too comfortable with what was happening. It was like, well, hey, what's going on, Buffy? You need some help?
Right, exactly. So basically, Buffy goes to update Giles, after he's done with his jog, and all she really is able to give him is, he had glowy green eyes and orangey skin.
Trump?
Right? Right. There's a predicting the future. And then, she's complaining about her roommate again. And Giles is like, well, Kathy was there, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, discourage the tag along if you can. That was great. He just went off that.
Right. So this is when Giles gives his little advice. Just basically, Buffy, you got to deal with it. You're an only child. Of course, this is new to you, sharing your space with somebody new that you don't know. And plus, she's got a fucking big secret. I still don't understand why she just didn't request Willow to be her roommate from the beginning.
From jump.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's a thing that you can do that.
Yes, you can.
So,
right. Well, I don't know. Had she run away during the time it was time to put in college applications?
She may have been too late.
So she
because
was
I
like
remember,
last. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I think I think I recall her being like last minute.
Right. So if you're not yet in college and you're thinking about applying, remember that.
Yeah.
Remember, the ones that apply last usually end up with the bad roommate situations because there's last minute
You
stuff.
don't want to get yourself a Kathy.
It's just a reason to do it early.
We take to Kathy in the dorm room by herself, and she's miffed about her shirt, and she's like scrubbing it, and then she decides that she wants to go snooping around in Buffy's closet and go borrow a sweatshirt.
So she's a snoop too, which is
it's extra wrong.
And she finds what I call I'm gonna create a few phrases this show if you don't mind. The buffonry arsenal.
It's not
like
as good
weaponry.
Not as good as what was it? Buffering. What was it?
To Buffy is a verb.
Okay.
She buffied.
I don't think that was what you said. It was like you
buffering.
When Buffy puns, you called it something.
Bufferize, perhaps.
It's too bad you can't remember what it was.
Well, I'll have to listen to the episode. I will not be dissuaded. I will continue to...
The buffonry. Okay.
Yes, the buffonry or arsenal. It's two words.
Or barsenal.
Barsenal. The buff.
Buffsenal?
Burfinal. Nope.
Buffy's weapons bag.
Right, which was also strange. Like, I don't remember seeing stake crosses in other shows or episodes, but there was one there.
That's her usual bag of tricks.
Oh, okay.
But I just don't know why she didn't hide it as well as she could have. Like,
right.
It seems like it was just kind of right there, just laying.
Just so she knew.
Like, sort of opened already.
Right. Well, and then, they cut immediately to an ew, predator alert moment. So this is when she meets Parker, right? Parker Abrams, if you will. And I've got quite a few things to say about this. Young ladies, if a man approaches you and he says, there are signs that you are, fill in the blank, you're talking to a predator. So
apparently he's gone down a checklist already.
Right, exactly. And he starts off with, this is his opening line to her. There are signs you're a freshman. And then, the other sign is... There's more to it, right? If you got that, then you get the other one is talk smarmy or fake.
Yeah.
Plus too much.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the predator.
Exactly.
Right,
his whole everything was very well rehearsed.
Yeah.
Like he had just he
had said to his friends 20 minutes earlier, dudes, the best place to pick up freshmen is the cafeteria. That happened, right?
Exactly.
That's the shot they didn't show you.
Yeah.
And then 20 minutes later, there he is. There's signs you're a freshman. You didn't know exactly where they kept the forks and napkins. So for that, you're going to now assault and break this woman's heart.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I wrote his name backwards thinking, well, it's the Whedonverse. Maybe it's... So Parker Abrams backwards is Smarbear Crap.
Shut up. Let me see.
I'm showing it to you now. I swear to God.
Smarbear crap. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, you've cracked the code.
Maybe. So spell the new men's. Make them write their names forwards and backwards, ladies.
You're onto something here.
If it sounds like crap, it might just be.
Wow. Okay, that's a first. Now I'm gonna have to go back and all the villains of Buffy.
It's not stranger danger anymore. It's tricky people. It's tricky adults.
Tricky adults and
tricky
just
adults.
ilk. And then he even the way they even cross paths is that Buffy is avoiding Kathy and she zones in on him and he's like, oh, you're avoiding someone, blah blah blah, and he's like, don't worry, I'll watch your back. And then he completely leers at her ass as he stands behind her, and it's just, I'm sorry, Buffy, that you had to encounter this.
Right.
I do not look forward to that episode, which I think is the next episode. Well, I kind of do because Spike is in it.
Right. Spike is awesome. He fits the rock and roll, you know, of the opening credits, which are ever evolving and awesome.
So Buffy goes and joins Oz and Willow for lunch at the lunch table, and Xander just happens to be there.
Yes.
Xander has joined the group on campus for lunch, and he is so bored with his life right now, he's aching for some sort of demon action.
And the human adult conversation or something, like everything. He announces himself, "Hey, I'm the non-college guy," and he's like holding court, like he is talking up "Hey, it's you. What's going on with you? Tell me more.
Can I eat your food? Because my parents are charging me for food now."
Right. Nicholas Brendan killing it. Good job.
They have some, back and forth talk. Willow and all of them basically are basically encouraging Buffy to go forth with this Parker thing.
Right.
Which,
bad.
Guys.
Really?
Guys.
Shut your mouths. You don't know.
I know we're all super excited that he's not a vampire. But
right. But that doesn't mean that's the only danger out there.
Exactly. So, we'll get there. We'll get there next episode.
Right.
So
Kathy shows up to share some of her passive-aggressive sisterhood.
She's wearing Buffy's sweater without asking. Seriously, I probably would have snatched it off her. There's no fucking way. We're almost like sisters now, living together. No, Kathy, that's not how this works.
Not at all.
That is not how that works at all.
Nope, you should take the sweater off just for saying that.
Exactly.
But nope, she continues to eat a big, juicy, ketchup-y burger or something.
That sloppy bitch.
Yeah, I think she did it on purpose. It was, Willow's like, maybe it was an accident. Let me just say, Willow, shut your mouth. It was not an accident, Willow. It was not.
That was purposeful. Ugh. Who eats burgers like that, not over a plate? Like
people who are wearing somebody else's sweater.
And not giving a shit.
Right. So, we cut back to the, this passive-aggressive theme just keeps on culminating and growing and growing.
They're doing tit for tat now.
And her name's on all the food, including each and every egg.
First of all, let me just say, who the fuck flosses their teeth in bed?
I knew you were going to say that, so I didn't have to write anything down. Continue.
That is infuriating and disgusting. I would have freaked the fuck. I couldn't. There's no way I could have been a part of that. I could not have been in the same room. I would have moved out at that instant because I can't. You're just thinking there's so much. There's plaque flicking all over the place at this point in time, and food particles. It is disgusting. Flossing happens in the bathroom.
Disgusting.
Right after you have brushed your teeth, and then you brush, you floss, you rinse your mouth with mouthwash. That's how it works, guys.
That's right.
In the bathroom.
Right.
All of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So she's doing this and, writing her name on each and every fucking egg. And Buffy, I don't know where this came from, but she just sticks her gum anywhere.
This is Buffy's counterattack. Right? Buffy,
so your theory
Buffy
is that
fires
she did it
back.
on purpose.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Buffy fires back.
Okay.
With this passive-aggressive stuff and puts her gum on her roommate's nightstand. She puts her book down. It's like, where did this come from? And Buffy, without a hesitation, not even a nanosecond, must have been a gum gnome. Gum gnome. A gum gnome? That's awesome. Unfortunately, our hero then goes to sleep and has a demon dream.
Yes, there's demon dreams. So she's like, it's terrifying dreams with like scorpions and demons pouring blood down her throat and sucking things out of her body. And apparently Kathy's also having these same dreams, as we find out the next day when Giles is, for whatever reason, just hanging out on campus.
Right.
Giles.
Right.
And Kathy rolls in. Willow introduces Giles as their adult friend, but not in the creepy way. It's getting creepy, Giles, because you're just hanging out on campus.
Right. It's like, how do you do that? Like, he doesn't work at the the college. Like, basically, they're like, because the council's been broken up at that point in time.
No, they're not broken up. They just fired him.
Oh, they fired him. So he's doing second careering.
Yes,
trying to find
freelance watching.
Yeah, right.
He's a freelance watcher.
I understand. I do that sometimes myself, but not for Vampire Slayer.
But Kathy rolls in and she's just ingratiating herself into the circle, and you got excuse you,
right?
These aren't your people,
right?
I beg your pardon. I'm gonna need you to step it back a couple paces, friend.
Right. And it's just, it was horrible.
And she gets kind of snarky.
Yeah, Kathy starts to try to insert herself, basically triangulate, if you will, and manipulate her friends to get her size. So this is just the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Buffy, takes off. She does a nice little quip, though. She just says she's minoring in napping 101.
Which, yeah.
Yeah, let's be honest. Most of us did minor in napping. He's, and Giles has that moment again. I think it's that child or that caregiver child conflict about creating independence, and he's struggling with am I worrying about her enough. He keeps talking about, well, you just have to get used to people being these annoying, weird, that's all she is, just annoying, weird. But then when he picks up that they had the same dream, they still don't know if she's just copying Buffy, single white female,
or they were both possessed by something, like the demon and it's also, I guess it goes to say that at this point, Giles and Willow and Oz are all a little bit concerned about Buffy because they see her being a little bit more bitchy than normal. They even call her Cordelia. She's like Cordelia levels at this point.
Right.
So, Buffy is agitated as fuck, which, I mean, this girl flosses her teeth in bed.
Well, not just that, but
they're lucky she hasn't smothered her in her sleep.
She's been stealing and sucking her soul away from her every evening, which is important to know. So in these dreams, these demon dreams that Buffy's having, first of all, there's a lot of body paint going on, with blood, but
symbols,
still weird, and scorpions running by navels.
Yeah,
what is that? Somebody's got to work some issues out. Nonetheless, and a demon, mounted over her.
Yeah.
With, looks like sucking her soul out of her mouth.
Yeah, these are strangely erotic dreams.
Yeah.
And erotically, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, nonetheless, that's what happens during the dreams, and that's important to know because it turns out, we'll get to that, but it's important to note.
Yes. I also would like to point out that Willow has real roommate problems.
Right.
And Buffy is not asked about.
At all.
Nothing.
Right.
And Willow is maybe just offhandedly yeah, my roommate sucks too, but but never. Poor Willow, she can't study for nothing. And there's parties apparently going on every night in her teeny tiny dorm room.
Every night. Sounds like there's about 20 people deep in there.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they cut in back to Stetson Hall, which I guess is the name of their dorm. Stevenson Hall?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't have my glasses on. And Parker is straddled over Kathy's bed. And more Cher, same song. If you believe in life after love,
Buffy walks in on Parker and Kathy just flirting, basically.
Right.
And becoming a little too familiar with each other. And, obviously Buffy takes offense to this. She's like, you know what? She's she's moving in on this turf, and she's like, well, y'all, if y'all gonna be all cozy and smosey and all that bullshit, just go and take it outside because I don't have time for it.
Right.
So she's upset at this point, and Parker's like, oh, sorry. Oh, he comes and brings her fucking Ziploc baggies because of the whole.
So she can steal stuff from the cafeteria. Yeah. Inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
Another sign, another flag.
Yeah, I basically kind of feel like he got in Buffy's pants for the price of Ziploc bags. So probably a dollar store situation because those were not brand name.
First of all, let's just say they're Ziploc bags. We don't have to worry about how much they were worth.
I'm just saying that they weren't even brand name.
They weren't even the good Ziploc bag.
He went to the dollar store. But no. But yeah, so Buffy is, she is upset by this.
And she decides to react by drinking all of Kathy's blood and just pouring it down her. Which is also kind of strangely and weirdly like a wet t-shirt contest scene.
It was weird.
I mean? Yeah.
Because, Buffy, who's going to clean that milk up off the floor?
Yeah.
So
that's how you get ants.
This brings us to our burn of the week. Is that Kathy? Kathy's like, I'm gonna give it to Kathy. Marcella usually picks out the burn of the week, but she's not here right now. So I'm gonna give it to Kathy, and she's like, you know what your problem is, Buffy? And Buffy's like, you? And she's like, no, you're spoiled. Maybe the world revolves around you where you used to live, but it's share time now. And that's when Buffy loses her mind and guzzles all the milk.
Right.
And, they start going tit for tat a little bit back and forth verbally. And I think at that point, Buffy decides to go on patrol.
Yes.
And Willow.
They cut to Oz and Willow.
Right.
And Willow is worried about Buffy.
Buffy's lost her mom?
Like, of the group, she seems to be the one most worried about Buffy. And she sends Oz off to go check on Buffy.
Yes.
And so Oz goes to check on Buffy. Sideline. He walks across this woman who we know as the other
Veruca.
She-Wolf. Yeah, Veruca.
Yes, they snip each other for the first time.
They snip each other for the
There's
first time.
a moment, like they cross, and they're both like looking at each other knowingly and confused, but they both recognize game, recognize game.
Like a couple dogs on the street. Really. It was well shot.
Yeah, and this is that's going to eventually bring us all heartbreak.
So Oz is then the stand-in for Willow during the punning and clipping session with Buffy, right? Buffy needs this. She needs to vent, and so Oz is the stand-in. And so that was also a brilliant piece of
great.
Buffyverse because, Oz is so dry.
I love Oz's humor.
Yes.
It's because it's so dry, and he is just so, like, he delivers it is so stone-faced.
Right, and Buffy's just getting more worked up and more worked up and more worked up. And
He's she's like going on and on, and Oz is like, maybe all this ranting is scaring off demons, and she's like, oh! She's even affecting my work, and then she flips out and kicks a bench in half. Just lifts her leg up, and that was a great shot too, because like out of nowhere, her foot's just like, is that her foot? We're like, yes, no, it's not. It's down on the ground. Like, it was a really great action shot. Actually. And Oz mentions that on the plus side, at least you killed that bench. It was looking shifty.
Shifty bench killed.
Which we both laughed for quite some time after that one, because that was a good line.
It was a good line. And Buffy's like, it's not funny.
Great
We're like,
delivery.
yeah, it was.
It was
Buffy.
hilarious.
Totally funny.
That shit was awesome. Want to hang out with Oz.
And then they just kind of cut to back to Stevenson Hall.
The dorm room.
Yes, and it's like Godzilla versus Rodan. It's Kathy versus Buffy.
Kathy is clipping her toenails in bed.
That's the worst. This is when Buffy decides she must be a demon. Right? Why else would you collect their toenails?
Who else does that?
Right?
Who else clips that? Well, I do have a friend's roommate story, because before Buffy and my friend didn't even watch Buffy, Cecily, actually, she has told me this story about her roommate in college. And this was way before this episode, so I know it was true. So her terrible roommate had would clip her toenails like in the common area, just like on the couch or whatever, whatnot. And Cecily lost her shit one day and was like, "You better pick up every one of those GD toenails, or I'm gonna pick them up and feed them to you."
Put that in your tea.
Cecily, love you.
Awesome. Please come visit us.
So they're still like this, versus Kathy versus Buffy.
Right.
And there's toenail clippings. There's Buffy tapping her pencil.
Then she's
Cher.
cracking the eggshells again. More Cher.
And Buffy puts on earmuffs. Why does she have earmuffs?
And then didn't put it fully on her ear either.
No, she didn't pull them all the way down.
And then more creepy dreams. And then she's like, I'm going to bed. And then there's more creepy dreams and more body paint and more soul-sucking and fluorescent demons.
Yeah. So at this point,
Buffy's like, Kathy's a demon because of the toenails.
Right, she's collected Kathy's toenails.
They keep growing after they're clipped, she says, which is, pay attention, people. Several things I would break down. If you ever came to me with a Ziploc bag of somebody else's toenails, we are going to have a long discussion about every single thought that went through your head.
Thank you. Because
we're going to take them all very seriously. Because what kind of background Buffy ever established that made you think, this isn't her wheelhouse.
Right. Oh, yeah, she'd totally pick up toenails.
Or at least be like, you know what? The first thing we're going to do is measure these toenails.
Right.
Let's just break out the ruler.
Yeah, let's just do that.
We'll do the metric system. It'll be faster.
So Buffy has gone to, I think, Giles at this point. And
Willow calls Giles.
Well,
and she's like, Buffy's a psychopath.
Well, I would like to point out that Willow is being a really great friend because there are like two situations where Kathy tries to corner Willow. And where Kathy comes to
this
Willow,
is one of them. Right.
Yeah, and talks shit on Buffy, and Willow does a very good job of not of defending her friend, but she could have been a little bit better at it. There were a couple times
she could have been a little bit more dissuasive. She didn't stop. She didn't tell Kathy I don't want to hear this crap, or don't talk about my friend.
Right.
If you got stuff to say about my friend, say it to somebody else.
Right.
Any of those things would have been good. Willow was more like, don't you think you should say these things to Buffy?
Right.
Which that is good. Start with that.
Yeah.
Don't you think you should say these things to fill in the blank?
Exactly.
And if they don't leave you alone at that point, then you can be like, look, if you need to say something about my friend, you go say it to somebody else. And that would have worked too.
Right.
So yes, I'm with you there.
Right.
Willow's not getting a lot of points in this episode. Willow. It wasn't an accident, Willow. That ketchup was on purpose, Willow.
And this is tough because Dan loves Willow.
I love Willow. I know. I feel like we're fighting.
Are we in a fight?
So, and then she calls Giles and is just like, yeah, Buffy was a little maniacal and homicidal, so I sent her your way.
Okay, bye.
Right.
So Giles has a trap all set and waiting for Buffy.
A big old net made of a kryptonite or something? Why did it...
I'm just going to chalk that up to that Buffy was really not going to try to hurt her friend. She could have gotten out of that at any point, but she didn't want to have to knock anybody out just yet.
Right, exactly. And Giles is like, she must be possessed by a demon. I'm going to go find a spell.
So it's like Giles, Xander, and Oz have restrained Buffy.
An intervention.
Yes.
Clearly
and
staged.
So Giles, uncomfortable. They all do this very, uncomfortably, and they don't really want to, or they're scared.
Yes, they're getting hurt.
Right. Giles runs off to safety and for research.
Right, exactly.
Xander
I have to go see the books now. You could have got the books beforehand, bro.
Exactly. That's real timely.
And then Willow goes off and has her intervention with Kathy.
Right.
And
but basically, she's just trying to make sure she's staying there to make sure that Buffy doesn't get there to her first and kill her.
Yeah.
And when she finds out that. Once Oz calls him and he tells her that they have Buffy, she's like, all right, later.
Right.
Stay here.
Stay here. Yeah, Oz calls Willow, which was cool. And then Xander and Oz have a nice little kind of comedic moment where they're watching over Buffy and they've tied her up and Xander's like, not sure I tied those ropes tight enough. And Oz is like, you go check the ropes.
And Xander's like, just stay away from the legs. Stay away from the legs. And turns out they get up on her and they did not tie the ropes.
Nope.
Tight enough. She clunks them together.
Yep. She gives them, she Three Stooges the boys.
Yes, she does. And knocks them out.
And heads back to Kathy.
Yes.
At Stetson Hall.
So she, she jumps bad with her. She gets to her face and I forget where it starts it.
May I? They have a face-off. Both literally, figuratively, they throw down. They somehow, Kathy throws the first punch.
Okay, yeah. So and that's what I forget. Did Buffy just say something to her, and then Kathy just punches the shit out of her?
Well, Buffy, the way Buffy entered the room was
hostile.
Yes, I've come to kick some ass, and Kathy just kind of stood up, and this was so much better than Bad Girls Club. They just got to it.
Right.
There wasn't any pointless banter about what neighborhood they came from or what crew they hang with.
Jump at me. Come get me.
Right. Come get me. Right.
Pop off.
Who starts a fight with, come on, hit me.
Right.
I guess I remember elementary school, I did witness a few that way, but man, that's not how I roll.
If you're going to do it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Kathy hits her in the face and then Buffy hits her in the face back and she comes back. Kathy comes back, right? And
she's not playing.
They touch faces. They touch head to head, and Buffy grabs her face and pulls her face off.
So, I mean, just to be clear,
to reveal the demon,
right? But was Buffy just going to scratch her face, or what? How does that make sense? It's that
I think she grabbed her head, her scalp.
Okay, and then just kind of
was going to move her, suppress her somehow. And instead of moving the body with her firm grasp on the scalp, ish came down off the face.
And I love Buffy's reaction. She's just like, I knew it. There's so much
That's self gratification, right? Exactly.
It's like,
right.
And in Buffy's defense, there have been other times where Buffy, she doesn't have the whole thing fully thought out, and she hasn't like thought it all the
She
way
has
through.
instincts,
Right?
intuition.
And everyone else is like, this is bullshit. You're just
Right.
overreacting, yada yada. But yeah, it turns out to be that's basically the real
More
thing.
than once.
Yes.
More than once, Scooby Gang.
Right, and and you know, why would they just not?
The old Scoob crew
What
failed.
harm does it do just to go ahead and do a little bit of research?
Right.
Just to just go look into some things.
Right.
Maybe trust your Slayer every once in a while.
Yeah, don't ever rest on your laurels.
Right.
Be like, well, I'm smart usually, so I don't have to look anything up this time. So they cut to Giles, who is like, oh, it's the ritual of Maktaga.
Oh, I'm glad you got that.
Yes, I had it. It took a while. The ritual of Maktaga. The ritual of Maktaga. And we're like, okay.
What is the ritual of Maktada? Who is Maktada? Why do we care? Get to it, man.
Right. He's like, oh, it's a ritual to take the one with the soul. So I guess basically where she's from, they don't have souls.
All right.
And they're from another dimension. Apparently, so Kathy reveals after her face comes off.
Right.
She had to talk about illegal aliens, right? She had to transport from another dimension
Just so she can go to school.
so she could go to college. Because they don't have college wherever the hell she's from.
Right.
But she's 900 years old.
She's 3,000 years old.
Oh.
Her father was treating her like she was 900.
Gotcha. Oh, I'm sorry.
How did she learn about college in this dimension?
Right.
How did we find out about it?
Right. I mean, so many things. I mean, and why share the, like, oh, man. I guess, well, there's a lot of fluorescent going on. I could see kind of a rave disco.
Soul. So,
Ouch.
but but my question. Okay, so it's like, she's sucking a little bit of Buffy's soul every night, and we are seeing a visible difference in Buffy's, sort of, kind of.
Well, the thing is, why did the fight last so long between Kathy and Buffy? And this is the thing, is Kathy is sucking Buffy's soul, so she's getting like, this is my theory, is that they're equal strength.
Oh, well, or
Because
she's
she
just
had
a demon.
Well, that too, but I don't think. I mean, I've never seen anybody last this long with Buffy Summers.
Oh, you got to watch The Freshman. The episode before this, the Vampire Sunday, really got up in Buffy's ass.
Oh, really? Okay.
But what I'm saying is, like, we were seeing as Buffy's soul was getting sucked, and Kathy had no soul, and she was gaining a soul. We're seeing a difference in Buffy.
Oh yeah.
Why aren't we seeing like a more soulful or difference in Kathy?
Interesting.
Like maybe she should have maybe been becoming a little more human or something.
Right, like cry or something.
Yeah, or something.
Or laugh at a joke, like appropriately laugh.
Yeah.
Because she was, an inappropriate laugher. You could just tell.
Or maybe, eventually stop playing Cher. But I don't know.
Like all of a sudden you come in and there's like some Otis Redding on or something like that. It's like, whoa, okay, Kathy.
So they fight, and they fight, and they fight.
And Giles comes and gathers the Scoob crew.
And it's like, Buffy was right.
Right.
And they're like, ugh.
So
Willow's like, I owe her a big apology.
Right. So Giles takes command, right? He's like, okay, Xander and Oz, you go to Buffy. Giles and actually, he didn't have to say anything.
No.
Xander and Oz Oz figured it out. He's like, leaving us to go to Buffy in the flesh.
Yes.
And Giles and Willow go to the spells immediately. And Giles got no problem with Willow doing magic at this moment.
Nope.
We forget that Willow had to do a lot of magic to save Buffy's life a lot. And that's how she grew and became such a strong witch.
Exactly. And a lot of times from Giles's direction.
Right.
Like he was the one that was putting her in that task. Willow, go to the magic shop and get me this.
Right.
Willow, look up the spell.
Right.
Willow, help me with the spell. But
never gave any formal education about it either. It could have always sent her off to Hogwarts or whatever, now that we know about Hogwarts. Or wherever council sends their goons to college. Like they could have given her some...
Yeah, they could have given her like a full-on, like a real education.
Immediately, the first time, maybe no.
Right.
By the second time, though, you're like, okay, it's time to teach this person.
This is going to be helpful to us all.
Right.
Also, while we're talking about the spell of Giles restoring Buffy's soul, so the spell could not have been used with Angelus?
No, because it was only for
this demon?
Yes.
Okay.
Of
Did you catch? I
Yes.
missed that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Mock de gaba or
Good.
whatever.
All right. Good deal. They
Broccoli balls.
they got that. They covered that. So the girls are fighting and they're fighting and they're
Still fighting. Yeah, the fight's still going on.
And the bookshelves are ruined, glasses are broken. Buffy's poor mom must have gotten a crazy ass bill.
Oh, yeah.
For
And
this-
where's campus police, right? Nowhere. They're busy beating up black kids in the parking lot for smoking joints.
Yeah. And at some point, like some kid, like we take out to the hall that some kid, like their neighbor, like pokes his head out. I was like, "Excuse me, we're trying to study out here."
Right.
I said, dude,
That's
aren't
it.
aren't dorms floors like single sex?
Oh, yeah,
like all
I thought
women.
most of them were, but you see some on TV that aren't. So
Okay.
maybe there's some that aren't, but
All right.
none of the ones that I went to.
I'm just saying. That's
Yeah.
just weird.
So, any event that does work, Buffy's soul gets restored.
Kathy's dad.
Kathy's dad shows up. You know how much trouble you've caused, young lady? I'm gonna ground you for so long.
She's like, oh my god, I just wanted to. You're treating me like I'm 900. I'm 3,000 years old.
Right.
He's like, I don't give a fuck. We're
Right.
going back.
And all of a sudden, like, Xander and Oz bust through the door, and Dad's like, "Rah!" And they're like, whoa! And then they realize that this isn't about Buffy. This is
like,
all
oh.
about, this is between the two of them.
Right.
They completely just relax and chill, like, oh, we've been here.
Right. This has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, this kind of hell exists in all dimensions. Getting chewed up by your
Right.
parents
Like,
in public.
sorry, Kathy.
In front of strangers. Right? All that. Everybody feels that pain. Let's go, oh, man, you messed up big.
So
Big.
Kathy and her dad eventually get sucked back into their dimension, and all is well. Like,
Yeah.
And Buffy's soul is restored.
Right, and she's hanging up new posters, replacing the Celine Dion poster with Willow, and they're watching the bad Kathy karma is draining away, right? And then, you know, they're having this nice little happy moment of peace, and Willow
Yes, Willow has moved in with Buffy now.
takes half of Buffy's sandwich
Let me just say,
and eats it.
first of all, Buffy had, I think she took one bite out of the one half of the sandwich. That sandwich was sitting there for maybe 3 minutes. And Willow had the nerve, had the gall to be like, are you going to finish it? 3 minutes. That sandwich has been sitting there unattended. 3 minutes. And Willow's like, are you going to finish this? And 2 seconds, she doesn't wait for a reply. She just goes right in for a bite. Willow,
Not a good episode.
that's not a good look.
I know. And this is when Buffy learns that she doesn't share sandwiches. This is what Buffy learns in
He
college.
doesn't share food.
Right, exactly. And Buffy has her Joey Tribbiani moment, right? Buffy doesn't share food anymore. It's over.
And it's just all about timing, Will.
It was really kind of a nice little
Yeah.
to the end of
Heyo.
it. Yeah, so I enjoyed that episode. What can I say?
It's an enjoyable episode, but there are a lot of questions, and it just makes me think.
If you really think the Buffyverse rotates around Spike, then yeah, it's a throwaway episode. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But, you know, for me, it's kind of Willow, you know, but you notice that I didn't focus too much on her story.
Willow
arc.
is on every episode, so
Yeah, exactly. So I think, you know, basically she was just being used as a character, as a prop for to tell Buffy's story.
yeah.
She was not her true character at all. Part of it's because her roommate was such a mess, and she didn't get any sleep. She didn't get nobody cared about Willow's problems.
I know. That
So-
happens a lot. Poor Willow, like she gets neglected. Like Buffy, like really monopolizes the bitch sesh times.
All the time. For Buffy and Willow, it's a very one-sided relationship.
Yeah, it's like I
sometimes.
get it, Buffy. You're saving the world and everything, but your mortal friends they would like a little time too to
Yeah.
just chat
Vent.
and cry about their own or human problems.
Right.
Because, it's just as important. Bodies dropped in this episode. I don't think there was actually any. There were actually
Yeah, because they didn't kill the
deaths.
demon. No.
Yeah.
I
Huh.
think that's right. 0 bodies dropped in this episode.
Wow, that's impressive. The moral of this story. I didn't prepare beforehand, so I'm gonna have to come up with something.
Oh, well, it was you have to tolerate people's idiosyncrasies.
There you go. We'll do
That's
that.
the whole that was the thesis.
Unless they floss their teeth in bed, then that's shit the game off. That's-
Or if their toenails clipped in bed, or if they grow after they've been clipped, or if their face comes off rather easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And other than that, then you have to send them back to the dimension that they're from.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
Okay, so I am here talking with Christopher Cullen of WhedonCon. That's right, guys. WhedonCon is a Whedonverse convention for fans, by fans, while raising money for charity. WhedonCon is happening in LA this May 19th through the 21st. And if you haven't already gotten your tickets, you should probably do so now. But so enough about that. Let's hear from the man himself, Christopher Cullen. Hello, Christopher.
Hi, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you taking the time out of this. I mean, we're now like a week out, 2 weeks out.
Yeah, just about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure your plate is full. So thank you for taking the time to visit.
Well, you're welcome. I love to get the word out about our convention, so I'll always take the time.
Awesome.
I'm so excited about this year. Yeah, go ahead. Do you have questions for me?
I do.
Or do you want me to?
Well, first of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself, about Christopher. Who are you?
Oh, okay. Well, I am one of the heads. I'm the co-head of social media for WhedonCon this year. And I am actually, you record in Pittsburgh, right?
Yes.
I lived in Pittsburgh for 5 years. I went to the University of Pittsburgh for my undergrad and grad school, so it always will have a very special place in my heart. I live out in LA now, and I do freelance production design for films.
Awesome.
And I was motivated in large part by my love of the Whedonverse to work in film and television. And I am so happy to have this opportunity to be able to share that love and also give our money to charity. WhedonCon is really important to me. It's very has also a special place in my heart because it's a way to use Joss Whedon's world to make our world a little bit better.
Amen, brother. All right, so what was your intro to Buffy? When did you first start watching Buffy?
Oh, I have such a story for that. My origin story. That's so funny. It was Saturday, February in 2004, and I was flipping through the channels, and I had never, I mean, of course you hear about Buffy. I always heard about it, but nothing about it had made me say I want to check that out. So anyway, sorry. So I was flipping through the channels, and I saw something was on TV because it's 2004. You're flipping through the channels because you don't have a DVR. You barely have a TV guide. And I'm just bored on a Saturday morning. And I see, I stop on the WB, and I see what I think is Charmed, which is kind of funny because I don't actually like or watch Charmed. But it was like, all right, I'll settle for this. And I start watching what I think is Charmed. And I very, very early on realized it's not Charmed. But I had never seen Buffy before. And the episode that it was 2 to Go.
Oh, okay.
Which is not a good episode to start Buffy on.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And there was so much going on that I did not process fully, but I had so many questions at the end that I immediately did use the limited resources that available to me to find out when the next time I could watch Buffy was. And it was that Monday, and I rushed home from school that Monday and watched it for 2 hours. And every day after, for probably 6 months, I watched it for 2 hours, completely out of order. I started with 2 to Go, and then I went back and saw Bargaining Part 2. I know. And then I watched through season 6. I missed Once More with Feeling because I had to shovel the driveway. I remember that. I had to shovel the snow in the driveway, so I missed Once More with Feeling. And then it took me months to see it again. And the day it was coming on video or coming on TV, I had a VHS ready for it. I knew, I had downloaded every Once More with Feeling song on LimeWire because I'm a huge musical theater nerd. So, Buffy and musical, and it was like my white whale. I spent months finding as much information about it as possible and in hopes of seeing it someday.
That's glorious.
Yeah, so I saw Buffy totally out of whack. But that introduction to it, I think, is one of the reasons that I fell in love with it, was that I had to piece together this puzzle bit by bit. And, like, for example, the last season I saw was season 3.
You had to.
Like, I watched it completely out of order.
You had to work so hard to get there.
I did, because that's the same year the DVDs were just coming out.
Yeah.
So season 4 was on DVD, but it was sold out in my town. Season 5, I left a play rehearsal early to go to Walmart to buy season 5 the day it came out on DVD, because I wasn't going to miss that one. And then, like, I was doing my best. I worked so hard. I did. And it's so funny. And, like, in the age of Netflix, in the age of streaming and binge watching, it's so funny to me. It's like another, like, my story's basically a period piece at this point. I couldn't tell someone who's 15 years old the effort it took to watch Buffy and have them understand.
They have no idea. You kids have no idea how easy.
No.
This was some serious work that had to be put into getting in your fandom. So, oh my God.
Really?
Wow. God bless.
Do you have a Buffy origin? I know. I did the work. It was worth it. Here I am 13 years later. Totally worth it.
I know. So, okay, I guess my story is that I saw the movie, did not like the movie at all. And like in 99, 98, 99, I moved here to Pittsburgh, and my first roommate, who is my co-host, Marcella, she's sick today, so she's not here right now. But Marcella is my first roommate here in Pittsburgh. And so she was already on the Buffy train. And I was just like, I don't really want to see this show at all. I think I moved in with her on, I think it was the bargaining season, or the bargaining part 2 was the one that I came in on. And so, like, I'm still not really caring about anything. I'm there, but not really paying attention. And so, like, she's still, like, trying to get me on board. And I'm just like, you know what? I just really don't care. And like, a couple months goes by. She gets to know me a little bit better. And then she's like, you know what? I know what'll get you into Buffy. And so she, at this point, she's been, like, recording them on VHS as they're airing. And so she she pulls out the tape, and then she pops in School Hard and shows me Spike's introduction. And so I'm, well, hello, who is this? And so at that point, like, School Hard was the first one that I watched all the way through and was into it. I'm like, I'm here, let's do this. And so,
I love that.
And so from that point on, and then Marcella and I, we would watch it every Tuesday. We were there at Clockwork. Even when I moved out from her apartment, we would still have our Tuesday dates. I'd come by and we'd still watch it together, or we'd watch, like, we'd call each other on the phone at commercial breaks when when we couldn't be together. So it was really, that was like the bonding of our friendship.
That's so funny. So was it Bargaining Part 2 in 2002, or a Becoming Part 2 in 98?
Yeah, Becoming Part 2. That was
okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. That's amazing. I love that so much. I can't believe that you made it through Becoming Part 2 and weren't addicted. That episode makes me cry just thinking about it.
Yeah, now that I know, like, once I started watching them in order and then I'm in there, yes, I, like, get chills now. Like, before I was like, I don't even know I don't care what's happening. So I wasn't even really paying attention. So it was one of those. So yeah, but once I got the backstory and everything, and I got on the train and watched all of them leading up to that, I got the feels. So, and ever since
are you just a devoted Buffy fan, or are you a fan of the larger Whedonverse?
I am a fan of, like, Joss Whedon is is someone that's, I'm like, yeah, okay, if he's involved, then sure, I'll give it a whirl. So, like, I'm not I'm not going in blind with Whedon, though. It's more like, Firefly, I still haven't watched all of Firefly. And, like, I watched all of Angel. I'm all about Angel. We'll rewatch Angel, Dr. Horrible.
Gosh, I love Angel. Yeah.
Horrible is my jam. I love that. I got into, like, I was super stoked when Whedon was involved with with a couple of the Marvel movies and all that stuff. So I really do enjoy Joss Whedon's work. So I love the way that he really has a knack for. I love his sense of humor, and I love the way.
Me too.
love his storytelling, and it's just like, so yeah, I am a fan of Whedon. But Buffy,
because our Whedon, it's funny because of course with WhedonCon, you have two factions, and factions is the wrong word because it's not like they're disagreeable at all. But you have two types of reactions when people hear about WhedonCon. They either assume it's all Buffy or they assume it's all Firefly. But like we make a very active effort to be about the entire Whedonverse. So Dollhouse, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even Cabin in the Woods, even we.
oh my God,
We are an. Yeah, we love it all.
that is my shit, man. Like Cabin in the Woods, and that took me forever to watch it. Like I didn't see it in the theater, and like people were. I think it was another movie similar to it, another horror movie like that came out at the same time, and I kept confusing it with that one, and I was hearing bad stuff about that one, and so I didn't go see it. And like it finally came on DVD, we watched it, and I was like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing.
I love that movie. I was living in Pittsburgh at the time, and I drove and I was living in South Oakland, and I drove to the waterfront like 3 times in a week to see that movie. I saw it at midnight the night before it came out. I saw it the day it came out, and then I saw it again like that Monday. I couldn't even wait. I love that movie.
It's so good. And it's just a love letter to horror films and horror fans. And it's just perfect. It's absolute perfection. Yeah. And Dollhouse, I really enjoyed Dollhouse as well. So yeah.
I love Dollhouse. Dollhouse is like an unsung hero to me. No one talks about it, but I just adore it. I think it's so brilliant. And yeah, it totally had a rocky start, but man, the potential that series had.
Yeah, truly. So, how long have you been involved with WhedonCon?
I got started. So this is our second year with the convention, and I've been involved with the group who's planning it pretty much since I moved to LA. Like I moved to LA in the fall of 2014, and within a week, I was at the meetup that happens once a month with the people who I'm now planning the convention with. And they were already working hard, but I got on and kept going, and then I started actively working on the con about a year later, November of 2015.
That's awesome! And
that's when I started.
Can't believe this is only the second year.
Well, I know, and we had a very successful first year last year. We were able to actually double. We have a new venue this year. We've doubled our size. In everything. So we have over 250 hours of programming this year, which is astonishing. I mean, last year we were in 5 different rooms and then our vendor's room, which was called the Sunnydale Mall. This year, I can't even tell you the number of rooms because we've got press rooms and media rooms and screening rooms and game rooms, and you wouldn't believe the parties we have planned out. It's going to be amazing. This experience this year, I can't even wait. I was so excited for last year. I was on such like a con high for months after last year. Like it's just like it's really a good experience, and this year I think it's just going to blow everyone away.
And who are some of the guests this year?
We have, of course, we have Nicholas Brendan.
My boy,
who's Xander from Buffy, and he is just the sweetest guy, and I'm so glad he's joining us this year. We have Camden Toy. Do you know Camden?
Yes.
He's
fantastic characters.
Yeah, he's all over Buffy and Angel. Like you can't. And he was the Uber Vamp and the Gnarl, and Anya would yell at me, Gnarl. And one of the gentlemen, and then he was the Prince of Lies over on Angel, and he's the nicest guy too, and he's going to be there. We have some really interesting guests actually, because like if you're a diehard Buffy fan, you're going to be really excited to see some of the people we're bringing in because they don't really do a lot of appearances anywhere else.
Right.
We have Andrew Furchland, who is the Anointed One.
He was on the podcast last year, right before he was on his way to WhedonCon, and he was really excited about it.
He was on your podcast?
Yeah.
That is so cool. Yeah, I was going to tell you, I'm pretty sure we were his first convention last year.
Yes, he was such a sweetheart.
he is such a nice guy, and he's coming back, and he's excited. We have Dagny Kerr, who was Kathy Newman, Buffy's roommate, in The Freshman in Living Conditions.
That's awesome that you
of course,
that you just mentioned that, because this segment is going to appear on our episode where we're reviewing that episode. So.
Oh, no way. Well, Dagny's coming, and she is so sweet. She really is she's really excited too, and we're so excited to have her. And she's really talented too. I wrote the press release on her, and I didn't know a lot about her before, but boy, I'm like really excited to meet her. Let's see, so our most exciting, our guest of honor is David Fury.
That's awesome.
I know. It's been 10 years since David has appeared at a convention, and he is gracing us with his presence. I am so excited about what he has to say. We have Tim Minear coming in, too.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. So
a Whedon fan, just wet dream, basically.
Absolutely. And we have Jeff Pruitt and Sophia Crawford, and I don't know, their names don't get out as much, but boy, I bet you've seen him in a lot of credits.
Buffy was it was Buffy's stunt double, right? Or Sarah's stunt double.
Yeah. Sophia was Sarah's stunt double, and Jeff is her husband, and he was the stunt coordinator for Buffy for seasons 2, 3, and 4.
Oh.
We have Christos Gage, who wrote who wrote all of season 9 of Angel and Faith, all of season 10 of Buffy, and he co-wrote a couple with Nicholas Brendan in season 10. And he's the sole author of Buffy season 11, which is coming out now and is incredible. And if you're a comic book fan, Christos is like amazing. He did some of the coolest niche stories in the Marvel Universe I've really enjoyed. And he's also a writer on the show Daredevil. He helped write the first season.
Yes, I did see his name in the credits for Daredevil, and I was like, oh my God, that's Christos.
Yeah. Well, he is a fantastic writer. I mean, I think he was the turning point for me in the Buffy comics, and I adored the Buffy comics, but when Christos got involved, that to me was the moment when it became not just a good story about Buffy, but also a really good comic book.
Nice.
That was when they got their structure really rolling.
Okay.
And speaking of the comics, we have Georges Jonti, who drew almost all of season 8 and season 9. He's incredible. He is the nicest guy, and he's so excited to be joining us. For the Dollhouse fans, we have Miracle Laurie, who's my favorite actress from Dollhouse.
Yes.
And she joined us last year, too, and again, she is the sweetest person. James Leary's coming, who's Clem from Buffy.
Oh, good. Cool. I love him.
And let's see, Alicia Root. This is so interesting. We don't usually get a lot of Dr. Horrible traffic, and Alicia Root, and I'm actually really excited to meet her because I am like I said, I'm a production designer. I work as an art director, a prop master. She was the art director for Dr. Horrible.
Oh, wow. Huh.
I know. So, I am actually excited to talk to her because I want to know a couple things. Who came up with Wonderflonium? And how much of that Dr. Horrible apartment was built? Because I know that I had read a million years ago, I read that they found it, someone already lives there. So I want to know what they did to add to it, right?
Yeah.
George Sarah is coming, and he is actually, so he's funny. He's a composer and a musician, but his role in Buffy went a little bit beyond that. He actually appears on the show several times. He is in Shy, in Veruca's band Shy.
Oh.
Which you'll come across in your next few episodes if you haven't yet.
Yep.
And I know you know it, but I mean for your listeners.
Right.
And he's part of Shy, and then he also appears in the first season of Angel, and then he comes back on camera for Hell's Bells, and he's in the Wedding Quartet.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, isn't that funny? They just throw him in, and then he also did the collaborative album. Have you heard of Music for Elevators?
Yes.
So he is the brain behind Music for Elevators, which is the collaborative album with Anthony Stewart Head, James Marsters, Amber Benson, Allison Hannigan, and Joss actually wrote a song for Music for Elevators.
Wow. Wow.
We have Robbie Lamorte, Scott, who is Jenny Calendar.
Love her. And also, for those of you who aren't that familiar, she was either Diamond or Pearl or with Prince. She was one of Prince's dancers.
That's right. I know. I didn't know that the dancer had a name, but yes, I knew she was a dancer for Prince. We have Steve Tartaglia, who was Spike's stunt double.
Yes.
And then for Buffy adjacent fans, we have Stephen L. Sears, and he's actually joining us again this year. And he was the executive producer for over 100 episodes of Xena Warrior Princess. And he was like an essential part of the creation of the character Xena.
Nice. And so
and he's the coolest guy, too.
You have an amazing roster of just talent and just wonderful people. Wow. So I am so jealous.
Yeah, well, I hope you're coming next year because we have a good time.
I have already blocked off the time for next year, so
good. Good, yeah, you gotta come. It's we have so our programming's insane this year too. We have a whole, I don't know if you've been to our website, but we have a whole evening and special programming section where we basically have like what I nickname WhedonCon After Hours because a lot of it turns into weirdly adult programming. So we have, for example, Lusty Kittens Burlesque is putting on All Across the Whedonverse, which is a Whedon-themed burlesque show.
Jeez. Oh, my God.
I know. And they actually did one once before a few years ago, but they're doing a new one, a unique one, sort of like a sequel, sort of like a sister show at the convention. We have the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. I don't know if you know them, but they are a drag organization, a charity organization of drag queens who dress as nuns and raise money for charity. And they're all fabulous.
That is brilliant.
And we have the LA chapter performing a Whedon themed drag show. And it's so I mean, that's just some of the evening programming. We even have a fanfic after dark where people will be reading and I don't even think just people. I think that the drag queens will be reading the NC-17 fan fiction set in the Whedonverse.
Yes.
It's called Drag Nuns Read Smut.
Because that we've all been we've all been in that fanfic chat room or whatever searching for that NC-17 Buffy fan.
Right. Well, now you can come and listen to them in an audience read by a nun drag queen. It's going to be fun. And then we have pool parties. We have some stand-up acts. We have a big damn shindig, which despite its name is all ages, and that's for Firefly. And then we have Buffy the Prom at the Bronze, which is actually a repeat of an event we had last year that was very successful. And then we have these private cocktail parties, which I'm so jazzed about. At WhedonCon, we refer to ourselves as intimate by design because we're not one of the big conventions. We don't even resemble WonderCon or San Diego Comic-Con with its hundreds of thousands of people. Like, we are intimate by design. If you are staying at our hotel, you are going to see everybody who's there is like our numbers are much smaller. We have a capacity of about 1,200, 1,000, and people come and you just kind of get a chance to see and do it all, which is what's super cool. And our programming schedule is actually this year is way too busy to actually do it all, but you do have a chance to see all of the talent you came there to see and to check out all of our vendors in the Sunnydale Mall just because we have this vibe, this like inclusivity, this closeness. And to go with that, we have created these cocktail parties that are really, I think, pretty unique and also these meet and greets that I have to tell you about that I'm so excited about. But our cocktail parties first. We have a Women of Whedon cocktail party and a Wolfram and Hart Company party, which is a cocktail party, and they each of those are, one is Friday night, one is Saturday night, and it's $60. But in that $60, you get 2 cocktails, and of course they're Whedon themed cocktails of your choice, and then you also get, which in LA, by the way, offsets half the price right there. Or your 2 cocktails, right? So your $60 is very quickly becoming a worthwhile investment.
Right.
And then you get to mingle. You and a limited number of people get to mingle with 4 of our talent at these parties. And they're not sitting behind a table signing autographs or answering questions. They're standing there next to you.
It's kicking it.
And we've got, and there's going to be 4 for each party, and there's a couple appetizers and things. And I just think that's super cool. Like, we had a little party like that last year, and you just got to hang out and talk to the people. And it was their downtime, and it was your downtime, and you just got to be there, and it was really neat. And then we have afternoon parties too. We have a registered companion tea and an afternoon tea in the library, and both of those are $45. They come with tea and a couple snacks, and then 4 celebrities also.
Oh,
and you just kind of get to chill and talk to them, because like Whedon fans are I don't know. I think I get the vibe, and it's been my experience that Whedon fans want to know everything. So you don't just want to handshake, a photo, and a signature. Like, you want to get to chill with these people.
Exactly. And it sounds like really thought all this through, and like I'm just in awe of the creativity that just, it seems as that's been put into all of this, and that's fucking awesome. Like,
yeah, well, we want to be a special experience, so we want to do things to make that true. We want to be someplace that people want to go and want to spend time at. I have to tell you about our meet and greet. So our meet and greets are, I just think they're so creative, and of course, I didn't come up with them, so I am in such awe of our head of programming who did, because the idea for our meet and greets is, instead of 5 minutes shaking hands or the coffee clutch where the person has to kind of, I don't know if you've been to many meet and greets, but ours is let me skip to it. Okay, we are playing. So our meet and greets is only 10 fans per room, per talent, and it's 1 hour long, and you sit around a table and play Cards Against Humanity as one big group.
Yes.
So you, I mean, so it's the difference between like, well, yeah, I asked Camden Toy a question once, versus like, no, man, Camden and I have inside jokes.
Right.
Like, when I go up to Nikki Brendan and I say the rust bucket, he's going to think it's the funniest thing in the world. Like, it's just part of that experience that, like, we want to give you an unforgettable experience at WhedonCon.
Holy
and
shit.
that is like our number 2 goal. Our number 1 is raising money for charity.
Right. So is there a specific charity?
Yes. So we rotate charities every year. This year, we have 2 charities. The first one is actually in honor of the late Ron Glass from Firefly, who played Shepherd Book. He passed away this past December, and he had a charity that he was very, very passionate about, and it's called the Wooten Center, or the Al Wooten Jr. Heritage Center. And they provide free after-school programs for grades 3 through 12 and affordable summer programs for kids of the same age, for disadvantaged youth. And Ron devoted his life to this charity. Like, this charity meant so much to him, and I'm so proud that we get to do something in his honor, and raise funds for this charity, especially because it's such a worthy cause. Like, these kids are, those hours are such they're up in the air for so many families, and I think it's so important to be able to know that your child is somewhere safe and somewhere where you can breathe easy and know that they're getting taken care of, and maybe they're getting homework help. Maybe they're getting extra tutoring. Maybe they're getting, what they could be doing for 2 hours at school is so much better than what they could be doing alone or trying to find their way home. And so I just think that the Wooten Center is a totally worthy cause, and we are so happy to be representing Ron Glass in doing that. Our second charity was actually brought to us by the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, and it's called My Friend's Place. And it is a homeless shelter and offers homeless services to homeless youth in the LA area. And so every year they cycle through about 1/3 of the homeless youth population, and that's not a small population. And they provide them with food, shelter, hot meals, hygiene supplies, but they go above and beyond, and this is why I think they're really a worthy cause. They also provide access to education and access to the arts to these homeless kids, and they have this reputation. And WhedonCon's very inclusive, and I'm really very proud that we're able to work with My Friend's Place too, because they have this reputation of being the safe space for LGBT runaways and LGBT homeless kids.
Right. Well,
and that's like there's a disproportionately large number of homeless kids are LGBT.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important that when they do go to find that safe place, that they don't still find themselves in any way persecuted or discriminated against. And My Friend's Place is very good at being an inclusive, open environment. And I'm just so proud of both of our charities this year. I'm really happy to be able to raise money for them and raise money in their name.
Well, that is awesome. Like, I mean, just the fact that, first of all, you're providing a specific group of fans with like an amazing and intimate and creative, outstanding experience, unforgettable experience, and also raising money for two extremely worthy causes and charities. And it's just like, you've got like the perfect situation right now. Like,
it really is so cool. It is. I mean, we're doing, like I said, we're using his world to make ours a little better. And I think that's just so cool.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to drop out about WhedonCon?
Yes, I do. I missed some of the bullet points. WhedonCon is May 19th through 21st at the Warner Center Marriott in Los Angeles. We have if you purchase your membership before, and we have day passes and weekend memberships. If you purchase your membership before May 14th, you'll get it at the online rate, which is only $60 for the whole weekend. So It's $20 a day for cosplay workshops, makeup tutorials, Q&As with our stars, prom at the Bronze, pool parties, the Sunnydale Mall. Like, it's $20 a day is a steal. And the price will go up after May 14th. So if this episode airs before then, act now. Go to www.whedoncon.com and follow the links to our ticketing and membership. We also have the charities. I'm sorry. You can find more information about the Al Wooten Jr. Heritage Center at wootencenter.org, and that's Wooten, WOOTEN, and myfriendsplace.org. No apostrophe, of course. My friends, as though it were plural, place. And check us out. I mean, I think you'd be glad you did. And I hope that you can make it, because now I know you actually can't make it. But I hope that your listeners can make it, because it's a big party and it's all for charity. And I just think you'd be really glad you came.
Awesome. So yes, this episode will air before May 14th. And so it'll be
good.
Folks enough time to scramble it all together, get your coins in check, and get your plane tickets and hotels reserved and all that jazz, and make sure you guys go out. I'm serious. This sounds like...
And I will say, I would like to have one more thing. I run the WhedonCon Facebook, and so go on and give us a like, because we have... when we're not making announcements, we are just kind of filling your day with a little bit of Whedon. A little bit of anniversary this and birthdays and jokes and memes, and it puts a little smile on your face. So come and like us on Facebook. We have a Twitter. We have an Instagram. We have a YouTube channel. even if you can't make it to the convention, check us out because we do raise money for charity, and we do a couple smaller events sometimes to raise money too for various other charities. So you might want to follow us and see if there is one that you can make it to.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris, for joining me and giving us the lowdown and all the dirt on what's going down with WhedonCon. And again, like, congratulations on the success, and hopefully, you know, it just continues to get bigger and bigger. Well, as big as you want this intimate gathering to get. And,
Right.
Yeah.
So, what did you guys think of living conditions? You can let us know by sending us a voice message at 412-385-7250, or you can just record an MP3 file, less than 2 minutes, please, and email it to revisitingsunnydale@gmail.com. We will play it on the air. You can also get at us on Twitter at Back to Sunnydale, or you can also leave a message or, you know, post or whatnot on our Facebook page, Revisiting Sunnydale. Next week's episode is Harsh Light of Day, which is another Spike-tastic episode. Dan may or not be with us next week. I don't know. We'll see how Marcella feels, or maybe Dan wants to get in on fun just for scuzz.
I have an orange microphone.
I can't stand you. This doesn't make any damn sense. So, on that note, Hedwig, etc., we're going to peace out. So, as I said, subscribe, follow, like us, talk to us, call us, all the things. We want to talk to you. Back to Sunnydale on Twitter. You can follow me, Camila, on Twitter at @the_rugged angel. Dan's not on Twitter. And you can follow Marcella on Twitter at mspear7338. All right, guys. So obviously, you know the song that we're going to have to go out on. Until next time, get that all up in your brain craw. And get your glow sticks out. And get
The only way to beat this song is to embrace it.
Until next time, guys. Thank you, Dan, for filling in.
My pleasure.
Sure. Arg.